Greetings, entrepreneurs. Welcome to another episode of Heal and Thrive Business Hub. And today I'm dealing with the relationship side of Heal and Thrive Business Hub. And this is going to be talking about dating, about drawing the line and setting boundaries in the dating phase. So if this is something that you're interested, please continue to watch, like, subscribe, do all of that, and share it because you never know who may need this content. So today I am having a cup of hot coffee. I didn't feel in the mood for anything cold because I'm still battling with some type of head cold. So I need something to kind of balance that out and, not allow me to just be all stuffy doing this podcast. So I'm armed with my notes because sometimes I have a lot of content to get through. I don't want to just forget things, and I want to make sure that I am giving you all of the tips based on this episode. So let's dive in. And if you have any questions, comments, maybe experiences that you have in the dating phase, please leave them in the comments below so we can kind of, see what's going on out there and how you are setting boundaries in your dating life. And even if you're not, maybe this video will help you to do so. So the first thing I would say within the dating phase, if you are looking to date or you're starting to date, whether it's online or offline, the first question I would basically even ask myself, what am I looking for? Because I think that when we are very honest with what we want in a relationship, what we want out of life, do we want something serious? Do we want something long-term? Do we want it to lead to marriage? Or is it just someone we want to just vibe with, go hang out with? And whatever that is, then we need to be honest, not only with ourselves, but the person who we are, trying to form some type of connection with. So that's the first question that I would basically throw out there. What is it that you are looking for? Because I think it does a disservice to the other party when they may be looking for something serious and you're not, or maybe you're looking for something serious and they're not. So we need to be upfront about what we're looking for, what that looks like, what type of time commitment you're willing to put in to getting that connection started. So let's start with the thing as far as maybe you're dating online. Maybe you have downloaded some apps, or maybe you're on certain platforms that have a dating component to it, and you're putting yourself out there, and maybe you have, some prospects that are basically hitting you up and asking you, let's talk, let's start the conversation, and let's see if we can click, right? So when you are in that phase and you're having maybe a lot of different people who are trying to, get to know you, getting to understand what it is that you want, I believe that the first thing that the first thing that I did when I was putting myself out there on a dating app is that I would put in the description, the types of things that I like. I love jazz. I love R&B music. I love to dance. I love to laugh. I love to go out. I'm not a club type person, but I like to go to museums. I like to go to jazz clubs. And then I also put in the description, because I know that there are a lot of people out there, and it's no judgment to those who are looking for that, but I put no hookups. I'm not looking just to meet somebody and just go to bed with them. That is not the vibe. It's basically, if you're looking for just maybe a hangout partner, somebody you can talk to or vibe with, or go places where you're not going alone, then state that in the description. Be very upfront, because then it gives some type of jump off conversation that when you are speaking to the person and you have put that in your description, then if they're coming in a way where, maybe they didn't even read the description, you say, well, did you read my description? Because I put in my description, this is what I like. This is, what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for a hookup. I'm looking for something long-term. I'm looking to build, maybe you are an entrepreneur or whatever that is, and you're looking to just basically, just continue with your creativity. You want to travel and all those things. So put that in the description, because that lets you know if that person who is interested in you has even read the description? Are they just looking at your picture and saying, wow, this person looks handsome, or this woman looks beautiful, so let me hit her up? But they have not even read the description to see what it is that you're telling them about yourself, right? So that's the first thing that you want to make sure, and make sure that you are also reading their description. So this way, certain things. So that way you have some type of conversation, to start off when you are first connecting with them, because then you can share, oh, okay, I'm a jazz lover too. I'm an R&B lover too. Maybe, there's a free concert in town, or some type of outing outside event that maybe you both can go to as a first date, something that's no pressure, low pressure. That way you are, around other people, but you get to basically kind of feel this person out in a setting that's outside. It's not such an intimate setting. And we're going to start talking about that in a minute as far as first dates, right? So let me just kind of interject here before we go on the first date, as far as like setting boundaries, because I think that's so important. And let me just go to my notes for a minute, because I know I wrote some things down as far as why it is important to set boundaries in the beginning, right? Because it is the foundation of respect. It's the foundation of trust, understanding that every healthy relationship needs to have boundaries. You have to have boundaries in place, especially if you're a woman or man who have been through relationships where people just maybe just ran all over you. They took your kindness for granted. They may be the type of person where maybe you're the type of person, because of relationships that you've been in, maybe not having enough affirmation, that you're a people pleaser. So you may like a person and you may really say, oh, wow, I really like this person. So you lowered or moved your boundaries, or maybe not even set boundaries in place, because you felt like this was the person that you wanted to be with this person. And at all costs, you would do whatever, in order to say that this person was yours. And that's not a great thing to do. It's not a good thing to do, because you have to have self-respect for yourself. In order for people to respect you, you have to be to that place where you respect yourself. And setting boundaries is a perfect way to do that, because this way it'll let a person know, wow, they're not playing. They're really serious. They're not just saying that this is a boundary that they set. They actually mean it, and they're going to stand by it. And I'm going to kind of give you an example of what I'm talking about when setting a boundary in the beginning. So there was a prospect at a point in my life that, when I was on a dating app, that reached out to me, right? So they was like, let's come off the app, let's talk. Here's my phone number, like, give me a call. So I did so, but when I called them, it was around maybe 8:45, and I was basically, at that time getting ready for bed. So when I called them, you know how you have that kind of apprehension, you don't know what to say in the beginning, because you're just talking to someone for the first time and not typing it out, right? Because sometimes you can type a message, but the intention or what you want to say behind that message, it doesn't always kind of get the heart of what a person is saying. And sometimes we can misinterpret what people are writing, because we don't hear the tone of their voice when they are, speaking it there, because they're typing it, right? So when we were talking, it was like, at first the person kind of felt to me very distracted in the call, because at first I couldn't hear them. It was like, oh wow, I'm sorry, the phone went mute. And I was like, okay, you didn't know the phone was mute, okay. So I was kind of like, just brushed that off for a minute, but I kept a mental note there. But then I would say 3 minutes into the conversation, again, they were a little bit distracted, and they said, well, can I call you back? And I'm like, okay. I said, but I'm going to bed at 9:30, right? And it says, okay, well, I'll call you back. And I said, okay. So now the ball is in their court. So they text me maybe about 5 minutes after they hung up and said, don't go to sleep. And then I sent an emoji that was like a sleep emoji with a laughing emoji, like, yeah, I'm about to go to sleep. So then as I'm like, preparing for bed or doing whatever I need to do, I'm noticing the time. So I'm like, okay, it's getting close to the time that I told them I was going to bed, right? So with that, being said, they called me at 9:18. Now, mind you, I'm keeping mental notes. And this is what you need to do, men and women. You need to keep mental notes when you are setting boundaries, because people are going to test your boundaries. They want to see if they can push those boundaries. Are you serious about those boundaries? So you want to make sure that when you set a boundary, it's not just you saying something and then because you may like the person or think the person is fine and you just want to, just say, oh, well, I'll just kind of, move this boundary for right now, because they're keeping a mental note. They can be testing you as well. So when they called, I says, wow, it's almost 9:30. You only got a couple of minutes on the phone. And their response was whatever. To me, that was a red flag, because you are just getting to know me. And if you tell me whatever, because I set a boundary in place saying at 9:30 I'm going to bed, to me that wasn't the correct response. I don't care if you want to, chalk it up to nervousness or whatever, because my thing is, if you were being respectful of my boundaries and know that you were calling me close to the time that I said that I was going to bed, the proper thing to do would have been, I'm sorry, I got caught up with something. I know that you're getting ready to, prepare for bed. I just wanted to say good night to you. We can finish the conversation tomorrow. Have a good night. And that would have been very respectful, and it would have made me feel as though they were listening and they were not trying to push my boundary or allow me to push my boundary out of where I had set it, right? So we're talking. So, we're going back and forth talking and saying, what I like and what he likes and things of that nature. So then I look at the clock and I notice it's 9:35. And I says, well, I'm already 10 minutes past the time that I told you I was going to bed. So I'm getting ready to end the call. And their response was, yeah, really, like you were really going to bed at 9:30. Second red flag, because the thing about it, whether I was going to bed at 9:30 or not was not the issue. The issue is you were trying to see if this was something that I was going to stick to. And because I called you on it, it was like abruptly you can feel the energy switch, because they were annoyed that I was basically saying I'm getting ready to go because you're 10 minutes over the time that I'm preparing to go to bed. So we have to continue this conversation tomorrow. So the way the phone call ended was basically like, okay, well, you have a good night. It was that, to me, abrupt. Like they were just kind of, to me, in their feelings, because I was basically ending the call. So as I got off the call, and I'm just sitting here and I'm just saying, you know what? Am I as a woman going to put up with something that happened in the initial meeting of a person that didn't respect my boundary, called me a couple of minutes, about 12, 13 minutes before I told them that I was going to bed, then proceeded to say whatever, then proceeded to say, well, you really weren't going to go to bed at 9:30. That is not for you to basically tell me my intentions of whether I was going to bed or not. It was just for you to respect that and basically say, okay, have a good night. We'll talk tomorrow. So I basically text them and I said to them, first rule of thumb, when a woman sets a boundary in place, you don't respond by saying whatever. You respect that boundary and you say, okay, I respect that. Have a good night. We can talk the next day, and we'll talk tomorrow. You respect that boundary. But because in the beginning of that conversation, there was, to me, no respect. There was basically almost, trying to tell me that, you're really not going to bed. You're just basically saying that. So it's up to me to say, is this somebody who I want to continue to carry on a conversation with, when in the beginning you didn't show me any respect in that regard? So I basically ended that situation and I was basically like, no, I'm not going to deal with this. It's a non-negotiable. When in the beginning of any type of relationship, when you see something not going the way that you are setting your boundaries to go, you as a man or a woman, you have to determine what it is that you're going to be willing to put up with. Because if you put up with BS in the beginning of a situation, then you're going to be dealing with it throughout the course of that situation, because people will test you. They will see, if you are going to stand by what it is that you say, or are you going to allow them to basically push your boundaries. And let me say it from the other standpoint. Say that it's somebody that you're really attracted to. Say it's somebody that you really just say, you know what, I don't even care. I'm just going to go ahead and just I ain't going to bed at 9:30 because I want to talk to this person. So it's just going to be what it is. So you're basically sending a message to that person that, yeah, you said that, but you don't really mean that. So how much more can I get away with you when you say things like how basically is your word your bond? When you speak, do you really stand on what you say? So you have to understand that people are always listening. They're basically testing. They're basically seeing how far they can go. Because to me, a man or a woman who's respectful of somebody's time, what they're going to do is they're going to be like, oh, wow, I'm sorry, we went over, the time, I don't want to hold you up. I know you got things to do. You're going to bed or whatever it is. I want to bid you a good night and we can talk and carry on the conversation the next day. And I know I'm kind of getting a little bit more detailed into this because I really want you to understand, even when you like the person, you still have to keep your boundaries in place, because I'm sure if they're a person that's very attractive, they're a person that maybe, have a lot of people, wanting to get to know them on a more serious level, then you have to understand they have options, right? And they may be used to getting their way with people. They may be used to people falling all over them. They may be used to people not keeping, their boundaries in place so they can kind of, push those boundaries. So you as a person, even if you like this person, you still have to love yourself even more to say this. I'm going to say it. You can say, I don't give a damn how fine you are. I don't give a damn what it is that you do. But my boundaries is my boundaries. And if you are my person, then you're going to respect that. You are going to not try to intimidate me. You're not going to try to be abrasive with your conversation when I set a boundary in place, or even ignored by me even setting that boundary in place. So check not only, if the other person on the other end is trying to push that boundary, but also check yourself to say, do I like this person so much that I'm going to make my boundaries, move them back or remove them altogether. So that's something that's very key, right? Because people are listening and people are watching to see how far they can go with you. And then sometimes we'll end up in relationships that we didn't pan out for. And it doesn't matter how good the person looks, because I'm sure a lot of us have had people in our life who were nice looking people, but don't mean they had a good character or a good personality to go with their looks, right? So also, I want you to also understand that some people consciously or unconsciously will push against the boundaries you set to see if you're willing to compromise. They might do this because they want to feel in control, or they're trying to gauge how much they can get away with. It can be subtle. Maybe they make a joke about a boundary you set, or try to persuade you to bend the rules this once. But the thing is, how you respond to these tests, right, can set the tone for the entire relationship. So if you let someone push you past your boundaries even a little bit, it can lead to a pattern where your needs and comfort take a back seat. And you don't ever want that to happen, because I think, and let me just interject this here, especially if you have come out of a toxic relationship, you've come out of abuse, you've come out of just being taken for granted, just being just ran over, and people just like kind of you taking your kindness for weakness. The first thing you want to do is you want to heal. You want to make sure before you jump back into the dating phase or the dating scene, you want to make sure you're healed, because a lot of times what people do, in order to get over the person who hurt them or the person that left them, they jump back into a relationship because they don't want to feel the pain of what they've been through. It can even be someone that you were in love with, and maybe they moved on, maybe they cheated on you, maybe they've had, a family with someone else outside of the relationship, and because that hurt you so much, and you don't want to process that. You just want to hurry up and jump back into a dating situation because you want to use another person to get over the hurt that that person put you through. And that's never the way to go, because you're still bringing baggage into a new relationship. So you need to learn about yourself. You need to heal. You need to self-reflect. You need to understand what things in the relationship did you basically put up with in order for those things to happen. And a lot of times, and let me just say this, even if a person has cheated on you, and sometimes, we've been in situations and we've been in relationships where people have cheated on us. And even though we may have loved that person so much, we may have, put up with that and say, okay, because they said, oh, I'll never do it again. I love you. You're the person for me. It was a mistake. Or maybe they can come on the flip side and say, well, the reason why I did this is because you stopped showing me affection, or you stopped showing me this. And this is the reason why, and you're not willing to do X, Y, and Z. And this is the reason why this happened. So whenever a person is projecting onto you the reason why maybe they stepped out of the relationship or the marriage, it's never about you. Regardless if you're not someone who's willing to do certain things, that they want you to do, whether it's sexually or it's, maybe even financially. I don't know what that may entail, but I'm just saying those are the conversations that you need to be having in the dating phase, or maybe when it's moved from the dating phase to a more serious relationship where there's now a commitment, where you're not dating other people, where you're in the process of where now you're exclusive. Like, I'm not looking for nobody else. Me and you are basically going to be an item. So then you need to sit down and you need to understand each other's love language. And I think that is so important, because I think in the dating phase or the honeymoon phase of a relationship, especially when we are all feeling all these endorphins and all of this love, and we're basically loving on each other and calling each other kings and queens and babes and boos, right? That when now the relationship comes into that normalcy where it's no more of that, what I would say, that euphoria. Yeah, we can still have that love and that, those vibes for that person, even in that long-term situation, because we've matured to the place where we know that this is my person. I'm not looking for no one else. It doesn't matter if we've been together 10, 15, or 20 years. This is the person that does it for me. But what I'm saying, at the beginning of that relationship, you need to know each other's love language. You need to know how to basically give them what they need. It may be affirmation. It may be touch. It may be, acts of service. It may be certain things that this person needs in order to thrive in that relationship. And hey, if you're a type of person where there's certain things that you like, when it comes to intimacy, you need to talk about it. Like, if one person has a higher sex drive than the other person, you need to talk about these things, because you don't want to be blindsided during that relationship where saying, well, this is what I like, this is something that I want my partner and us to experience as a couple. And then you have to understand, is that something that you're okay with? And I think a lot of times people don't have these conversations is because they're afraid that if they speak what they want, then they're going to lose out on the person. Well, I would basically say, I would rather lose out on the person in the beginning before there is a deep soul tie connection with them, before we have basically maybe crossed certain lines in that relationship. And instead of being in this relationship with this person, and now I'm cheated on because now this person needs this in order to thrive in a relationship. This person needs this from me in order to feel valued, or this person needs this in order to feel loved. So we have to understand that when we come into relationships and we are the healed version of ourselves, we're going to basically speak up and say what we want. Now, when we're with a person that, and let me just say this, when you're with the right person, and even maybe the former person that you're with, maybe certain things you didn't rock with, or maybe certain things you didn't want to explore or experience. But when you get with that person who is your person, who is patient with you, who basically pours into you, who basically, makes you feel valued, then there is things that you're willing to explore with this person, because they make you feel safe. They make you feel secure. They don't beat up on you when you are not feeling a certain way. They basically give you that time and space to basically, come into understanding them. And then when you feel like, wow, I'm safe with this person, I can explore this with this person, I don't feel with the other person, it was basically, I was belittled because of certain things you didn't want to do, or certain things that you were not, okay with. So you have to understand, when you are now pursuing new relationships, lay your cards out on the table. Me and my daughter was just talking about the other day, where they have these card decks when you are like basically, maybe dating or getting into that serious relationship, where they are what is called like icebreakers, where maybe you can have one day, I don't know, maybe you want to cook dinner for your person or whatever, and you want to sit down and say, you know what, here's a game or some this icebreaker card game. It's going to get a little bit intense, but it's going to basically bring out certain conversations that we may not want to address, at that, within ourselves, but we're going to allow the cards to basically lay out everything on the table. So this way the communication lines can open up, and we're not feeling as though like, okay, I don't want to say this, I don't want to say that. And I think that's such a great way, because then you get to see how the person is reacting to the question. You get to see their demeanor. You get to see if they're uncomfortable with the question. You get to see if they're squirming, or if they're thinking about what the answer is to come up with. So you get to see all of that, because then you take mental notes. Please, body language speaks so much more than even what words will speak. Because body language is going to tell you if they're uncomfortable. Body language is going to tell you, even if there's sometimes a person can laugh, laughter can come off as uncomfortability. They don't know what to say. They're laughing because they're trying to think of what to say in the moment. Or maybe they're just laughing because the question is comical, and maybe they're just remembering a situation based on that question. But I think that is a great way to basically break the ice and basically bring out more communication as far as when you're getting deeper into a relationship with the person. And then you want to talk about, as far as again, setting boundaries, as far as when it comes to maybe you are, or you have like other children, maybe from a previous relationship, and then you have the maybe the wife or the husband of the person that you're with now, and they're still in their children's lives. So then you have to basically say, okay, how is this dynamic going to play out? Because I don't want to be put in a situation where I'm dealing with a crazy baby mama or a crazy baby daddy that don't want, me to be in your children's life. And now they're making it hard and difficult for me and you, because they just don't want to see you happy. They don't want to see me with you. So these are things that you really have to discuss, because a lot of times when we're in that moment of love and the euphoria of it, we just feel as though, well, I don't care who this person was with, because now he's my man or now she's my woman. They just going to have to deal with it. But you don't understand how sometimes blended families can make it really hard for the other person, the new person in your life. And you don't want to bring that pressure. You don't want to bring that dynamic to them. And you have to, hopefully prepare them in how this person interacts, as far as what word I want to use. You want to make sure that you, especially if you know the other person from your previous relationship is basically just immature and they just don't want to see you happy, you have to limit the communication between them and, your new person, even if that's going to be your wife or your husband. And the reason why I say that is because from my experience in dealing with that type of scenario, there were times where the children would come over and they would spend the weekend. And the children were told not to listen to me. Like, don't listen to her. She's not your mother. But most of the times I would be the one home, because at that time my husband would be out working, so I'm basically sitting there, doing activities with the kids, feeding them, and certain things I'm saying, and then, well, my mom told me don't listen to you. I'm like, well, really? Well, then your mom should have told you don't come over here and stay home, because you in this house, you're gonna listen. So those things that you're gonna really have to set boundaries with when dealing with a significant other, or a potential partner, husband or wife that you are getting involved with, because you need to know that, because you don't want to think that this is going to be a great connection and then come to find out now you have to deal with this other component based on them having children from another marriage or relationship. So make sure that you set boundaries, and they're setting boundaries. Not only you just setting boundaries within your life, but they're setting boundaries for the relationship from any outside people coming in, interfering. And let me state this too, because we have this dynamic as well, where we have a lot of men and women who allow their mothers to get into their marriage. They have their mothers get in and basically speak certain things, or they can show up whenever they want to. They can basically insert themselves in certain arguments, or if something happened between you two, he's going telling the mom what happened, or maybe the sister what happened, and now the mom is having an issue with you based on, that's my baby and my baby could do no wrong. So you have to basically know the person who you are dealing with. Am I dealing with the mama's boy? Am I dealing with a type of woman who goes and tells her family or her brothers all this stuff? Now they want to come and beat me up because I said something to her. Like, keep people out of your relationship. Like, set those boundaries that when we have an argument, when we have a disagreement, it stays in house. Unless we are going to a therapist or some type of counseling session, we don't share what is going on within the dynamic of our relationship, because then when we come back together and we reconcile, now we got all this outside negative energy that we basically went out there and put it out there for people to now have a say in our lives, and it doesn't feel good, because now it's basically our issue to deal with. So I just wanted to throw that out there. That was kind of a bonus, so hopefully it was something that tip that could help you. So here's the next part of this. So the power of sticking to your boundaries. So when you really like someone and you can feel that spark, and I already said this, it can be incredibly tempting to compromise on your boundaries. Just keep the connection going. But here's the truth. Any relationship built on a foundation where one person's boundaries are constantly overlooked isn't sustainable. You can't sustain a relationship that is constantly overlooked, because if a person feels as though that every time you set something in place and you compromise or you go back over it, and then you try to set another boundary in place, they're like, yeah, right, okay. He ain't serious. He said that last week, and then an hour later, he went ahead and did what I wanted him to do. And you will hear them even tell that. They will tell the kids that. They will tell, she just saying that right now because she upset, but an hour later, she'll change her mind. And you want to be someone that does not do that. You want to let people know, I set boundaries to protect me. I set boundaries to protect my spirit. I set boundaries to protect my mental. I set boundaries to protect my well-being. And if you don't respect them, then you don't respect me. I don't care how much a person may say, I love you. We know the word that says actions speak louder than words. I don't care what words are coming out of your mouth, but your actions basically show me the truth about, who you are. And I say, when you're first dating or starting the dating phase of the dating process, the thing about that how it will come across is, yeah, everybody's showing up as their best self. They're kind, they're mannerable, You don't see any type of conflict there, because we're showing up and presenting, I want to say, your best self, but also we know that we are, we're human. We have flaws. We make mistakes. But when you really take time in the dating phase to really see how a person deals with you, taking time in that situation. Now, everybody's not going to take time. People can say, you know what, from day one, I knew you were my person, you know, and then three to 6 months they're married. That's just, you know, sometimes exceptions to the rule, because that is basically, they may have done the work on themselves. They may have matured to that place. They may have said, you know, I have no more time for games. I'm laying it all out on the line. And that's basically how they now have shown up. And that's why they get that result quicker, is because they know what they want and they have no time for foolishness. So now let's transition. Let me drink a sip of my coffee because my throat is starting to start getting scratchy. Hopefully you got your beverage with you. So now let's talk about the first date. So now, what should the first date look like? And I know what I'm about to say, a whole lot of women are not going to agree with, but that's okay. That's you. But this is my perspective on a first date with a man, right? So, or whoever you identify with, no judgment here, whoever you want to identify with, a man, a woman, or whatever. But this is my take, because the thing about it is, some men, they want to impress you. They want to basically say, let me take you out to dinner, yada, yada. And, you know, and some women, you know, they want to be wined and dined. Nothing wrong with you wanting to be wined and dined. Nothing wrong with you want to be taken to a fancy restaurant, yada, yada. But for me, my perspective around a first date is not you impressing me by what exclusive restaurant you can take me to, not impressing me by, you know, how much money you're going to spend on that date, because that doesn't impress me. I'm basically a very simple person. My idea of a good first date is a coffee date, because as you see, I'm drinking coffee. I'm a coffee lover. And conversation, because what that tells me is it lets me know how great you hold the conversation. What is it that you really have to talk about? Like, because then we can understand, like, yeah, we know we may be nervous in the beginning of, you know, going, you know, maybe getting a cup of coffee, maybe go sitting in the park, maybe going walking somewhere, but it's going to really show not just the authenticity. Am I saying that right? Anywho, it's showing you how authentic that person is. It's showing, can they hold a conversation? What is their conversation like? What are they talking about? You know, what are their future plans? What is it that they want to do with their life? What are they doing with their life? You know, what are their goals? What are their dreams? What are their ambitions? Because to me, that's better than me sitting in a restaurant, you know, dressed up, we eating a good meal, and he's saying, yeah, look at what I've done for you. Like, yeah, I got the money to basically, you know, take you to a 5-star restaurant. And I can say, well, I got the money to take myself to a 5-star restaurant. That's not what I'm looking for, because I'm a good cook. I can cook myself. I don't need to even come to a 5-star restaurant. I could cook that in my kitchen. But the whole point of it is when I'm with someone, I want to know, can you hold a great conversation? If we're together and we're just in the house together, you know, what is our conversation going to be like? Are we in depth to the place where we're basically bouncing ideas off of each other? Like, you know what, babe, that's a great point you made. Wow, that's a great business idea. Yeah, let's brainstorm that a little bit more so we can basically, you know, create some income from that. Like, that is the type of thing that is my vibe, is my jam, because eating at, you know, spending $100, $200 on a dinner does not tell me anything about you, because basically you got people there, you got maybe music playing, and you're really not, to me, in the atmosphere to really have those deep conversations, because to me, that's just not the environment. Not to say you can't, but to me, when you are in a more relaxed coffee setting, then you're able to basically see how that person interacts with you. You get to see, you know, how they look at you, how you hold their gaze, if, you know, you're funny, if you're laughing at certain things, and just basically enjoying the day with them. And that speaks volumes. And for me, that is something that I think that we've lost the art of conversation, because it's basically more around how can I impress this person to let them know I'm your person. And if we get off of the surface of it and really start diving deep, we will start understanding who a person is and their mannerisms around how they deal with certain things in the conversation and in life, right? You know, what type of person are you? You're like, how do you handle a day when maybe things don't go your way? Are you angry? Do you have road rage? Now, I know a lot of us may have a little bit of road rage, because I'm one. When people take forever to turn the damn corner when the light is green, I'm like, what color green do you want the light to be? Like, it's already fluorescent green. Like, do you want it to be like olive green? Like, please turn the corner, because I want to go home. So that being said, you want to know how this person handles difficulties. You want to know how this person, handles when they're having a bad day. Do they shut down? Do they become unresponsive? Do they basically, even shut down from talking to you? Do they not text you or call you when they're going through something? Or like, do they complain all the time about situations? Those, to me, is basically gold nuggets, because it's basically letting you know how someone deals when things don't go their way. We can all be happy and on cloud nine when things are going the way we want them to go. But when things are not going a person's way and all you hear is complaint, 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 do you want that energy in your life all the time? When something doesn't go right, do you want to hear them talk about, oh, my boss, yada, 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 yada? And I'm not saying that you can't vent to your person, or you can't tell them that, babe, I didn't have a good day, but you don't just keep harping on things all the time, because after a while, it starts to drain your energy. After a while, you have to start learning how to deal with situations that don't go right in your life. You have to basically, even though you may have a bad day, and when you come home, if you two are married or living together, you can tell the energy from that person. Say, oh, my babe had a bad day. Let me do something nice for them. Let me run them, bath. Let me cook them a special meal. Let me give them a back rub or massage, or do something that's going to brighten them up, because you're trying to basically shift the energy that they've been through. But you don't want to just keep hearing a person just every time something goes bad, they're harping on it. They're talking about what happened with their mother and their brother and their sister. Like, every situation is a conversation of complaint. Like, no, we not doing that. No bueno, right? So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, because you really need to understand the temperament of the person that you're with and how they deal with life situations when they happen, because that's going to say a lot about your person. It's going to show you if they have grown into this person who knows how to handle situations in a positive way. Not to say that they don't get upset or they don't get angry about it, but they know how to release that. They know how to carry that out through their day. They know how to basically go and meditate or go and shift that energy so it doesn't affect other people that are around them, because they understand that energy, sometimes it can now affect the person that you're with, to the point where you're like, well, damn, did I do something to you? Because you just being so, short with me, and I didn't even did nothing to you. So those are the signs that you need to look for. So again, I hope that these tips have helped you as far as when you are dating, in the dating phase. And I think it's one thing that I forgot. Before I close this out, let me not forget this one. Okay. I think I was kind of rushing close a little bit too soon, but let me throw this one in. So here's another boundary that you want to make sure that you are kind of discussing with your partner, because if there's a connection and now you are to that point where now you want to be intimate with this person, it could be maybe they are someone that you've been talking to. Maybe it's a long distance relationship. Maybe it's a relationship that's within where you guys live, where you basically can see each other on a regular basis. But now the relationship is going to where it's going to go to that next level, right? So with that being said, you have to determine how much of yourself are you ready to give up or commit to this other person, either without a commitment or with a commitment. Because some people don't mind, like, hey, I love this person. I want to share myself with them. I want to show them I love them by being intimate with them. And maybe you're not looking for a commitment. But let me say this. If you are looking for a commitment and you're feeling as though being intimate with them is going to bring that commitment even closer, or you're looking for long term, maybe you're looking to move in together, you're looking for marriage, you're looking for a ring, and you bypass the conversation of, and I know we're in this day and age where this narrative just kind of blows my mind, that says, okay, well, you're a woman, you done had children, so you're not a virgin, so you meet a person, you click, you like them, so what's the big thing about you not being intimate with them? Because if a man is going to take you out, spend money on you, then he's looking to be intimate with you. So how does that conversation fit with you as a woman who says, yes, I don't mind being with you intimately, I don't mind, because I like you, I like your vibe, I like everything about you, that I don't mind, but I don't want to continue to give myself up to you and there is no commitment. I don't want to hear, well, yeah, I want that too, but right now, I'm just, dealing with some things. I'm not ready now. So you're not ready for the long-term commitment, but you're ready to go to bed with me, right? You're ready for me to give up parts of myself. And I'm looking for a commitment as far as I want this situation to not just be something that's short term. I want it to be long term. And I know a lot of people have gotten together and they have, been intimate. They moved in together and it eventually did lead to marriage. But what I want to say to those women as well as men, don't blindside yourself and don't give up yourself because you feel that it's going to make that person commit to you quicker. And when I say commit, because if marriage is something that is in your view or in your vision and this is something you want, never say, well, I'm going to sleep with this person because maybe then they will, commit to me in the way, maybe they'll give me a ring, maybe they'll do this, or maybe they'll do that. And you have to have those conversations and say, this is what I want. Because one thing about sex bonds you to that person. Sex creates soul ties, and then now you're even more deeper if that relationship doesn't work out, if that's all they wanted, and maybe they keep coming back, maybe because the sex was good and now they want to continue, but they don't want to put a ring on it. They don't want to go to that commitment of being married. So now you're in this place of giving up your body, but not getting what you want from that. And I would say never use your body as a tool to basically either trap a person into marrying you, but have those conversations. Because if you are going into it with open eyes and saying, you know what, I love this person, I want to be with this person, and I'm gonna share myself with them, and hopefully we're on the same page, we want the same thing. But how long am I willing to deal with this person not stepping up to the plate? Like if I do enter into that phase of that relationship, going to that next level, how much time am I looking? And have that conversation saying, baby, hey, I want you as bad as you want me, but I also want this. And I don't want you to feel as though that this is going to just be an ongoing, just hook up with me, but then we're not pursuing this down the road. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that you have to hold off until marriage, because sometimes that's just not realistic, right? But what I am saying is that you need to have those conversations, because what happens is if that person is lying and basically just trying to use you for sex, that karma is going to come back to them. See, that's one thing that they can't get away from, is that karma. Because if they're leading you on and they're basically saying, no, babe, I want to marry you, but I just want you right now. I just want you, you my person, I'm going to put a ring on it. So you're like, okay, well, this is my man, this is my woman. So we going to, show affection to one another. But then you realize time is going by, and now no mention of marriage is coming up. No mention of engagement ring. No mention of nothing is coming up. It's just, easy breezy. We together, we hooking up, right? So now what that means is that because they put that out there as though they wanted to marry you, or that was their interest or their long-term goal, but now they're not showing up in that area because now they just kind of laid back on that karma's going to come and get them because they put that out there. So always get the intention of a person before you put yourself out there and using yourself in order to make people make a commitment that they're not ready to make. You understand what I'm saying in that regard? So this way you will already know that, and I'm not saying it's not going to hurt, because again, when you have sex with somebody, you create soul ties, and those soul ties are sometimes really hard to break, but it's not something that you will not get over if that person chooses to walk out of your life or leave. But it is going to allow them to now get their karma because their intentions wasn't pure toward you. So I hope that helps you. I'm glad I didn't forget that part because I think that was really important. So if you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the description box below. If you want me to do a follow-up video, maybe go more in deep in this kind of content here, let me know. Or maybe you have some topics around dating, boundary setting, and things of that nature, then let me know. So have a great day. I'll be back again with more content from Heal and Thrive Business Hub so you can heal and thrive and grow a healthy business as well as a healthy